What do you do when a soldier defects? Talk to me. You don't court martial, you kill that brother. Court martial is formality. When someone defects, what they've done is they have turned their backs on their very own flesh. And the only thing a defector deserves in the military is death. Why? Because the only thing that's supposed to separate you from your colleague is death. So if the enemy don't do it for you, come on, understand the principle. I just had a thought in your mind. I see that thought. If you ever leave me, I will. I can see that thought right now. And that's exactly how you feel, huh? You ever heard this? If I can't have you, that's the spirit of defection, see? I give you my whole life. I gave you my body. I gave you my emotions. I gave you my entire future. I gave you everything. And you are going to turn your back on it? It's defection. Now, why is divorce worse than death? Here's why. When a person dies, you take them to the morgue. They place them in a box. You have a funeral. Everybody wears black. You go to this place called a church. You have a ceremony. You take them to the cemetery. You put them in a hole. You put dirt on them. You put some flowers on them. You cry for the last time. And that's it. It's finished. Over. There's closure. You don't see them anymore. But divorce. It's worse than that. Because when you get a divorce, it's dead. The marriage is finished. You bury it. You walk away. And then you go to the food store. And there's resurrection again. And that's why it's worse than death. Because they keep coming back. You stand on the tube, and there they are. You stand in the bus stop, and there they are. They show up in the drugstore, and there they are. You go to the park, and there they are. And heaven help you, they show up in church, and there they are. You see, it's the kind of death that's never closed. And when there's children involved, that's why God says, I hate divorce. I hate it. There's no arrangement in God's program for divorce. Moses wrote a bill, not God. So we find the question being asked here by Jesus, by the disciples rather, the Pharisees. They said, should a man divorce his wife for any reason? Matthew 19:3. His response, haven't you read that at the beginning it was not so? He made them male and female. For this reason should a man leave his mother and father, cleave unto his wife, and the two shall be united and become one flesh. And then he goes on to say, therefore, whatever God joins together, let no man put asunder. I think what he was saying here is that God don't join everybody together. Now this gets a little deep here. The only people that God really joins together are those who qualify in this verse. He says, in the beginning, it was not so. So the people that God joins together are the people that he identifies in this verse. He says, divorce is not your problem, he says. Your problem is who you join together. And you're not joining together who God joins together. Who did God join together? Well, he qualifies it. He says, haven't you read that at the beginning it was not so? In other words, at the beginning, God made a male and a female. And that's the only two that should be joined together with a guarantee that they'll make it for life and for death. And that is the two that are in the beginning. And we talked yesterday about the kind of male that is in the beginning. I need a male. Can I have a male? Are you sure you are a male? Can I have you, please? Can you come? I need a male. Give the Lord a hand for a real male. Praise God. Some males ain't sure they're males. Now, it's important to note, I want to do something here to demonstrate something. So I need you to stand up here for me. Stand on the top of that end of the step from at the top, right here. Okay, I want to show you something. Stand at the top, right there. Right at the top. Now, I want everybody to kind of make sure you can see where he is. I want to show you something. Okay. Now, if you notice that God only created one human being from the soil. He never went back. Today we have 6.2 billion people on earth, but God only made one from the soil. He never went back. Today we got 6 billion, but God only made one from the soil. He never went back. And the first one that God made was male. That's important. Remember, everyone who's building anything, the first thing they lay is the foundation. Is that right? Foundation is first. And secondly, the foundation is usually never seen after it's laid. It's quiet. It's always underneath the building. But the foundation is the most important part of the building because it holds up the entire structure and carries the weight of everything. Which means then that the foundation must be given a lot of attention to. More money goes into a foundation than the whole building. Did you know that? Contractors will tell you that when they're laying the foundation, they got to dig down to bedrock, and then they put all the steel and all the mortar, all the concrete, and they reinforce it, and they build the foundation based on the proposed weight of the structure, including the furniture, the people, and all the decorations and everything else. In other words, the engineer will calculate the weight of the entire building before he will give the specifications for the foundation. Because the foundation have to carry even the weight of the clothing that's on the people that's going to be sitting in the office, and the chair, and the desk, and the typewriter, and all of the computers, everything. It has to be calculated. And so the weight of the foundation is not laid until we understand the entire building. Now, watch what God does. Before God began the human family, God calculated everything that it would take to carry the weight of a human family, and God's conclusion was, I'm going to construct a foundation and I'm going to call it male. So the male man was built to carry all the weight of the family. Most males are not aware of this, so they run away from responsibility. Every male in this room was designed by God to carry the entire weight of your entire family. You were built for it. If you got 10 children, you could carry that. Now let me explain why. Whatever something comes out of sustains it. Listen carefully. And that's where the word father comes from. Father means source and sustainer. The male came out of God. God created the male out of himself. That means the male source is God himself. So God is the father of the male. It gets heavy here. But the female did not come from the soil. The female came out of the male, which means that the male has become the source of the female. We learned yesterday that source is the Hebrew word Abba, which we translate what? Father. So the male is the father of the female. He is the source and the sustainer of the female. The word father means source and sustainer, which means whatever you source, you got to sustain. Now,